Hey everybody, this is Joshua from StacksWeaver. Today I want to talk to you about my new Stack Cloudflare DevTools that I just released. A lot of you may ask, what is Cloudflare DevTools and how will this help me with my websites? First, let's start off with what is Cloudflare? Cloudflare is a content delivery network that serves up cached versions of your website to users around the world. If you have a server in the United States and someone is browsing from England, Cloudflare will actually serve up cached content from a local server in England, allowing for faster speeds on your website. For those of us who utilize a CMS-based system to edit our websites, struggle with Cloudflare is making changes to your site while the cache is active. When you go to change an image that's already been on your website, you won't see those changes reflected immediately. Cloudflare will still serve up the cached version of your image. This is why Cloudflare has a tool called development mode. By turning on development mode, you bypass their cache for 3 hours, allowing you to make changes and see them instantly on your website. Now, I'll turn this back off here on this website. Now, you'll see here on this visitedmonds.com website that in the last 30 days, they've had 30,000 unique visitors, 4.08 million requests. And you see here that they have 168 gigabytes cached and a total of 239 gigabytes served. That means that there was 239 gigabytes of requests to my web server that was not served by my web server, but served by Cloudflare instead. This means that Cloudflare saved me 239 gigabytes of bandwidth from impacting my server performance. This is an amazing feature to have to allow my web server to host more websites without being overrun by requests. My stack allows you to turn on Cloudflare Dev Mode from your website without having to log in to Cloudflare themselves. A great example of this would be the Visit Edmonds site that I have here. I don't edit the content, but somebody else does. This would allow them to turn on Dev Mode without logging into my Cloudflare account. This is why I made Cloudflare DevTools. Let's have a look at the Visit Edmonds site here. You'll see here in the admin, they actually have a turn on dev mode button for Cloudflare Dev Mode. If their admin logs in and needs to make edits, they just click the button to turn on dev mode. And you'll see here that it turns on. And if we refresh the page over here on Cloudflare, you'll see that dev mode has indeed turned on. All of this was done from the backend of their website, not requiring me to help them out with it. Now, what's also cool is there is an additional button that comes within the stack, which is purge cache. So this allows them to press this purge cache button and the purge cache get initiated, and it will actually clear out Cloudflare's cache of your domain. If you're doing a lot of updates, you come in, turn on dev mode, and then from there you can make all your changes, do everything you need to do. Then you can go and purge cache, and then you're good to go. But here is an example of what comes with the Cloudflare DevTools. It actually has 3 child stacks, allowing you to customize how you want the data to show up on your website. The first stack is the dev mode status. So this will either say on or off. If we turn this on, you'll see here that the status says it's on. If we refresh the page, it will refresh with the current status, on or off. So this could be on a multitude of pages at the top in the admin. So as you browse from page to page, it will let you know what the status is. And then you could have the button elsewhere on the page or maybe in a settings page. Same with the purge button. The second child stack is the dev mode button. This is the button that allows you to actually toggle development mode on Cloudflare. Simple thing, you just click it and it changes. And then it comes with the purge cache button. So all of these can be run in one stack right on top of each other, or you can have multiple stacks on a page and put these where you need them to be. There are some cool customizable features built into Cloudflare DevTools. First of all, there is classes that are added to the status button and to the toggle button based on the status of Cloudflare Dev Mode. So if it's on, you can target the on status via CSS, and you can target the off status via CSS. This allows you to colorize them or change the look of them based on their status. How about we set this stack up from scratch on StacksWeaver? First, search for Cloudflare DevTools in your Stacks library and drag it onto your page. For us to get the initial setup done, we're going to need an API key, a zone ID, and a worker URL. So let's get started. To get an API key, we're going to go back to Cloudflare. Now, we're going to go with the assumption that you've already set up your domain with Cloudflare. This is not going to be instructions on how to do that. You can check out Cloudflare's website to get that instructions. To get an API key, you're just going to click your profile on the top right, and then click on My Profile and API Tokens. What you need to set up with your API token is these two settings here. So I'm just going to quickly screenshot this so we have access to this. So we need zone settings and zone cache purge. So let's create a new token. And we're going to go custom token. So we're going to call this one Stacks Weaver. So we're looking at zone, and we want settings, zone settings. We want edit. And we also need zone cache purge. And then just continue on to summary. This looks good, so we're going to create token. Now that we have the token, we're going to copy it back to our stack in RapidWeaver. Now we're looking for the zone key. Now we're using stacksweaver.com. So we're going to click back here, home, go to stacksweaver.com. If we scroll down here, we have a zone ID. And copy that, paste that in. And then we need a worker URL. So if you go click back on the Cloudflare, go to your dashboard, and if you scroll down here to workers and pages and go create application, and we're going to go create worker. And it's just going to say hello world, but we're just going to say, this is a test, and go deploy. Now we're going to click on configure worker. And what we need out of this is this domain. So we're just going to copy that out. And we're going to put that right into the worker URL. Just going to button here. There was a mistake with this URL. You have to ensure that you start with HTTPS at the beginning, :// that needs to be included. As well as at the very end, you need to have the following slashes, as it says right below. Just make sure you have that slash at the end and HTTP at the beginning. So now that we've got these three set up, we can press setup complete. And then we need to show the Cloudflare worker code and hit preview. Now on my site here, it is actually hard to see the code just because I have my site in dark mode. But if you see in here, there is this box that shows up with all the code. You just hit Command A and select all and copy all of that code. And we're going to copy that code and paste it into the Cloudflare service worker. You head back to Cloudflare and do a quick edit on your worker. And here you're just going to select all and paste in the code from the stack. And you're going to go save and deploy. Perfect. So you see here it was last deployed a minute ago. We are all good to go. All right. So now we can go back to edit mode, turn off the show Cloudflare code, and now we can start building out what we want this to look like. So first thing we're going to add here is a status. And then I'm also going to add a button. And I want to add the purge. Perfect. So now we have all three here. And inside of the dev mode status, we actually have some options for setting label classes and the status classes. So the label is the word status here, and the status is what pops up when it checks for status, whether it's on or off. Now, if you want to change the language out on the stack, you have the ability in the primary Cloudflare stack. So you'll see here that you can change what loading means, status, if dev mode is on, if dev mode is off, to turn it off or to turn it on. So in this case, I'm actually going to do some customizing. So here, we're going to go where it says status, and we're actually going to say stacksweaver.com. And then for on, I'm actually going to change this to dev mode on and dev mode off. Perfect. And then turn dev mode off or turn dev mode on and purge cache. That's all perfectly fine. All right, so let's go back to status. Now, what's really cool is if you're using Foundation, this supports the utility classes that you can get out of Foundation. So for instance, I want my label to be an H5, maybe an H6, and we'll do my status as an H6 as well. So now you see here that it's actually taking on an H6 formatting just by adding in those utility classes. Now, as for the button, I want this to be a small, and I want it to be radius. Or maybe a large. No, let's go small. And same thing for the purge cache. I just want that to be small and have a radius. Perfect. Let's have a look at that. But I don't think small is small enough, so maybe let's do tiny. Yeah, tiny is good. Perfect. Awesome. So now we've got the status all set up. So now let's look actually at the button. So there is some information here on the special classes that come with this button stack. You see that it says CF button targets just the button. CF dev status button on targets the button when dev mode is on. CF status button off targets the button when the dev mode is off. And then you have some options here to preview dev mode on and dev mode off. What this is for is allowing you to have a look at the different button statuses and what they look like when they're on and off. So right now it's set just for blue. It's the standard. So if we actually bring in some swatches, and I want to target, let's see here, the background when it button is off. So we'll go dev mode status off. Yeah, dev mode button off, and then we're going to choose a color, and we're going to go with, for that dev mode is off. We just want it to be green. Now, because of that, we also want to change the font color, and we want it to be black. So green means it's off, so cache is working, everything's good. Now we want to work on the other button if the status is on. So if we go back here, we'll copy the status is on, add another background. And you'll see here that turn dev mode off is red. We have a look at that. Now let's show you what the buttons would look like. So green, of course, means that dev mode is off, which means cache is working. And turn dev mode off is red because the current status of it is on. So with this, if the status came back that dev mode was off, you'd get green buttons. Good to go. And then if it came back as dev mode is on, you'll get a red button that says to turn it off. Now let's look at customizing the status stack. Let's do the same thing that we did to the dev mode button. Let's turn on the preview for dev mode on and off so we can see what that looks like. But we're going to change the font color. When dev mode is off, we want it to be green. And now we're going to customize it when it is on. Now we've customized the off and on statuses of the status as well as the button. Now what I also want to do is I do want to have the stack on the dashboard when I sign in. I'm just going to copy the stack quickly and go into my admin dashboard. And if we have a look at my website, on the dashboard, I want it right up here in the admin area. I'm going to paste this in. And what we're going to do is duplicate this column and delete that out. Drop this in. Now I don't want to actually change any of I don't want the button or anything here. I just want the status on or off. Now we're just going to go back and grab our swatches. Maybe if dev mode is on, let's make this a little bit different of a color. Make it orange. Yeah, let's do that on the other one as well. Those changes there. Let's just do a quick preview. See what this would look like. Let's do a quick publish and see how this looks. Now we're just going to empty the cache before we refresh the page. And let's see how the stack looks. So we're just going to load up the settings page and see if it is working. And we can see here dev mode is off. And if we press the button, dev mode turns on. And we can verify that just by refreshing the Cloudflare page. And we can see here that, of course, dev mode is now on. Now, if we want to see the status we put on the dashboard, we'll just go to the dashboard and refresh. And we'll see that dev mode is also on. And if we want to double check that the status will function, we can turn dev mode off manually, refresh, and indeed dev mode is now off. Just for fun, I'm just going to change some of the language settings in here. And it's going to, instead of it saying Stacksweaver, I want it to say dev mode, and I want it to say is on or is off. And with those changes here, you see that dev mode is off. And if we want to go change that, we head over to settings, go down to our admin, and we can go turn dev mode on. All of this will happen instantly. And this saves you from having to log into Cloudflare to toggle this mode. You can now just do it straight in from your website. And of course, after you've made all the changes to your website, you just click on Purge Cache. This will initiate the removal of the cache on your Cloudflare servers. I hope you enjoy Cloudflare DevTools. If you have any questions, reach out on the community or email me at support@stacksweaver.com.